With a grizzly, you gotta play dead.
Yeah, you have to literally lay down on the ground and play dead. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dog.
And then it comes up and like it'll fuck with you a little bit.
This is
You
just
see
like a
that you're
cat.
dead?
If there's a cat, you know, and there's a mouse running through your fucking yard, like it'll play with it. And the moment it stops like moving, it kind of loses interest. Same shit. You are the fucking mouse, and that grizzly is the fucking cat. And
Yeah, man.
It'll fuck you up.
Play dead with a fucking bear.
Yeah.
I would run. I just run.
That's how you die.
And that's,
They'll run
and that
a
is how
lot
you die.
faster than you will.
Motherfucker run 40 miles an hour. I can barely run 20 kilometers an hour.
Hello and welcome to another episode of 7 Days Makes 1 Week. I'm Freddie P in the place to be with a fresh lineup because I had to keep up with Nico, who is immediately to my left. Dan back again for a second week, and if you see me looking around, it's because my French Bulldog Kobe is here being a little hooligan as per usual. Behind the camera and on the fourth mic is the man whose house we're currently in, producer Zach. What's up, everybody?
Not much, man. Just chilling.
How's it going this week?
Well, this week was good. Just working away, blah, blah, blah. Oilers trying to get it done, but looks like they're going to get swept. This week, we're going to try and keep it a little shorter, not an hour and a half like we did last week. But, I don't know, we could talk about Amber Heard having to pay Johnny Depp $15 million, which is pretty hilarious. Well, I guess it shouldn't be hilarious.
I agree.
Domestic abuse, but...
She ain't even got that money, so.
Exactly. Yeah, she's broke. 2.5 mil net worth.
And owes now... Well, he owes her $2 million, but then she owes him $15, so she owes him $13 million.
Yeah, so he may as well.
I think that got reduced to 10 million and like 340,000. It was supposed to be like 10 and 5, but I think like...
Oh, okay.
That's what like the jury awarded, but then the judge has like to say.
Oh, okay.
So it's like 10 million for the defamation and then another 340,000 for something else, which they awarded. Like the jury would
Maybe
have
the
awarded
lawyer
5 mil
fees
for.
or something.
So yeah, it's just over 10 mil, but he's supposed to give her 2 mil. Still net profit of 8 mil.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Not bad, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not bad. He lost a lot more than that. If you look at it, in, the grand scheme.
100%. Yeah, for sure. But like, that man cleared his name. I think.
Yeah.
I don't
I
think.
mean, I
there's
think
a very
everyone-
small percentage that are on Amber Heard's side for this one. I think the
For this
majority is
one.
definitely on Johnny's side. So
When it comes to this particular situation, I think a lot of people are on his side.
Yeah.
But like genuinely speaking, you can tell that like he's a fucked up dude too. Like for
100%,
sure.
man. That guy has no problem admitting he's got problems. He's got issues that he's got to deal with. But, you know, there's issues that he has, and then there's issues that are made up by some Amber Turd.
And like I guess like technically doing drugs. Hey. Yeah.
Flip the table.
He's going after my Heisman Trophy.
Right? Zach won that for putting up fucking 40,000 yards one season, buddy.
I was a kicker, so.
40,000 yards kicked.
That's right.
Punt yards.
Punt yards, yeah.
No, I didn't punt, just straight up kick.
Straight up.
You were on a high school team that had a kicker and a punter?
I actually was a kicker when I started playing when I was 13, and then the next year I broke my femur, and I was not allowed to play high school football, so my career was real short, but it was real good.
Hey, man. Put the trophies on the shelves.
That's right.
Not like Tottenham.
Were you good?
Actually, yeah. My mom has some clippings from when I was a kid from the Sherwood Park News, and they would follow the local teams or whatever. And but they used to call me fucking Zach Attack, and there's some actual clippings in there because I was kicking field goals at a very high rate and stuff.
Nice.
So if you ever need to fill it on your soccer team, might not hit the goal, but it'll go a long way.
Yeah, that's okay.
You ever see the movie The Replacement?
Oh, hell yeah. Keanu Reeves.
It's the same thing. You just got to get it under the bar instead of over the bar. That's all you
right.
got to do, brother.
Yeah.
Like, under the bar instead of over the bar.
Wasn't that their British kicker?
Their
He's
British
smoking
he was, like,
cigarettes.
smoking darts on the field, yeah. My friend Mike, who plays on our soccer teams a lot, we played on like a really good... Well, we were in a low division, but our team was really, really good. And he was our goalie, and there was some games where he'd be like, dude... They haven't had our ball like anywhere near my 18-yard box. He's like, I seriously contemplated taking out my darts for the second half and just like having a cigarette on the field.
There's probably no rules against that, right?
There's not.
I have no idea.
I don't think so.
I warmed up for that season having cigarettes on. Like I'd be smoking a cigarette while we were kicking the ball around and shit like that. And the worst part is the people on the other team be like, oh, okay, man, this guy's smoking a cigarette. Like, bro, that season I led the league in goals. We went undefeated and shit. We had a really, really good team.
Oh, shit.
They ended up moving up to, like, Division 2. And at the time, we were in Division 4. So, like, they've been promoted twice. I don't play with them anymore, but now they're much better. I'm sure their striker's much better than I was at the time, but... Anyway, yeah, back to Amber Heard. I guess just don't, chat shit, get banged. You know what I mean? You just apparently she had to pay $3 million to even put that article out. The article that started all of this.
Who did she have to pay to put that out?
Like the
Wasn't it the New York Post or the Washington Post? And she wrote an article.
I don't know this. I heard this on another podcast.
What was the article?
She wrote an article about domestic violence, but she didn't name anybody. But it was pretty.
So she was with Johnny Depp, then she got out of being with Johnny Depp and got with Elon Musk. And then apparently Elon Musk paid this $3 million because his girlfriend wanted to make this article or whatever. And the article saying that she has to speak out as a victim of domestic abuse and women have to stand up for it and da-da-da-da-da. And yeah, she didn't name any names, but left enough breadcrumbs that anybody that pays attention to Hollywood and shit figured out that she was talking about Johnny Depp.
So gotcha. Elon Musk paid for that too? Because I know he paid part of her pledged funds towards this, what's it called? Charity.
Yeah.
So, man, Elon Musk must have been shelling on all the cash on that bitch. Jeez.
She must be good at a thing or two. It's not acting, but she must be good at a thing or two.
I know, she acted pretty good during the trial.
Yeah?
The dog stepped on a beat.
That's the funniest thing ever.
Her tissue sniffing got me, though.
Yeah. Well, what do you call it? I heard that there was obviously some conspiracy behind that, but they said that she had something that actresses use to smell to make them cry on the stand.
Almost like a smelling salt, but that induces tears?
It induces tears, yeah. A lot of people thought she was doing coke on the stand.
Yeah.
But then...
She might have been.
You never know.
But she said Johnny had a big jar of cocaine. Maybe she took a couple samples out of it.
She probably did. Guaranteed they were doing coke
It's
together.
a jar of dirt.
She had to admit that she did mushrooms and Molly and cocaine. She had to admit a bunch of that stuff in the trial.
All those.
There's some wild stories there about that trailer park or them on the plane with that flight attendant and stuff like that.
What happened at the trailer park?
Yeah, I'm not sure I know either.
I don't know all
you.
Yeah, do tell.
Oh man. Okay, I can't remember all the details about the trailer park one. I just remember essentially Amber.
What the fuck were these guys doing at a trailer
Johnny
park?
Depp. Well, it was I shouldn't say trailer. I don't know. It was maybe a fancy trailer park. I can't remember. Maybe it was an RV park. It rented this trailer, is what I think she called it. Could have been an RV. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was probably a bus.
And they were all out having a party, doing drugs, getting wild out there. And I don't know. Then Johnny went inside the trailer and smashed the whole place up or whatever. But she was talking about, oh, Johnny's so good with his words, because when the property manager came by to look at it and was like, what the fuck happened? Johnny sweet talked his way out of there. You remember that?
I hear him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember.
She was telling him the story about that night and them doing all kinds of drugs. I think mushrooms and stuff like that as well. Just having a good time. But then the flight story is the one I remember more. They were taking a private jet flight somewhere, and Johnny was popping Molly on the plane, and he was encouraging the stewardess or flight attendant or whatever you want to call them to also take the drugs, which she then did, and I guess she was getting too close to Amber Heard. They were getting all touchy-feely or something along those lines, and Johnny lost his mind and snapped the flight attendant's hand away from Amber and was like, "That's my wife, she's mine," type of thing. But yeah, they were doing Molly on the plane and shit like that. I don't know. I think that's a very interesting lifestyle. All these celebrities lead, getting wild, taking private jets so they can
do drugs,
party on the way
drugs.
to the party. Yeah.
That's the age-old tale with rappers. I remember there used to be a thing called the hip hop police, which was mostly in New York, but I think they went other places. But it was a police force simply dedicated to observing rappers and trying to bust them and stuff like that. And when there was award shows, I remember them saying on a thing they would look to see which rappers were flying in on private jets, because if you're flying in on a private jet, you could bring a gun, you could bring drugs, you could bring whatever. If you're on a commercial flight, you're probably not going to bring a drugs or guns or whatever. So private jets are definitely something like that.
Well, Juice WRLD was transporting how much weed or whatever?
Percocets.
Percocets was it? I think it was all kinds of shit. Yeah.
But then he swallowed all the Percocets.
He died from taking.
I actually really like Juice WRLD as an artist.
But I think why
I never listened.
The flight authorities pulled his plane aside in the first place was because I think they had like over 100 pounds of marijuana.
The pilot
Well, yeah.
called it in and said they're transporting stuff. So when they landed, they were met by authorities, and Juice WRLD was just like, being 20 years old, he was just like, oh, and then
I think 20 or 21.
something like that. Yeah.
That crazy. That guy was good at rapping.
Agreed.
Yeah, I didn't really.
I never
listen
really
to
listened to him, so I don't really know too much about
You
him.
should look at some of his freestyles of just him in the studio, just going back like
Very
that guy was
creative.
very lyrically blessed, very quick on his feet. That's for sure. Oh, looks like the dog's getting
Yeah, Kobe found
into the cat toys.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Went under the shelf. You're hoop now, buddy. You guys want to talk about the Oilers for a little bit? Down 3-0 to the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, sure. It sucks.
It sucks. Yeah, they suck.
Yeah, I don't know about suck, but Colorado's a really good team. If not, they're probably, like you were saying yesterday, they're one of the best teams in the league. And for us to come back it ain't looking good, to be completely honest.
The odds would probably have to be pretty ridiculous, though.
Yeah.
Right? If you were to make a bet that the Oilers came back right now, won 4 in a row.
Even
It's
a
not gonna
$5
happen,
bet
but-
would be sick. You'd
yeah,
probably
your
make
return
quite a
would be
bit of, yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah, I think what I thought was going to happen against Calgary is now happening against Colorado. They're just a deeper team. They can do their best to shut down McDavid and Draisaitl because their centers are just, well, not maybe just as good, but also very elite players. Then their roster is just deeper. So by the time the game is played, the better roster usually wins. Their defense is definitely
Yeah,
deeper.
dude, their defense is solid.
What I'm actually kind of surprised about is that the Oilers haven't been able to get more goals past this backup goalie. Kemper, their first goal, he took like a skate in the eye or a shot in the eye or something like that. In the round previous to the round against the Oilers. So now playing against the Oilers, he started the first game, but he had to get pulled. So the rest of game 1 and game 2 and 3, we've had their backup goalie as our opponent, and we still haven't really been able to fill the back of the net. So that's kind of disappointing.
I feel like the defense is probably just shutting them down for the most part, not giving them solid chances. Cale Makar.
Do you want
Probably
me
the
to take
best
that away or
defense
just
in
let
the
it
league.
ride?
Yeah, you can take it away if you want. I don't
It's
know
up
how
to you.
much the sound is doing, but
Yeah, Cale Makar played 30 minutes last night, and McDavid
30.
because of how many power plays the Colorado Avalanche had, McDavid I think was at 22 minutes.
Damn.
yeah, Makar is something else. He's a monster. He's really, really, really good.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get a sick defenseman and kind of replace our number 1 defenseman.
Yeah, Darnell Nurse is not what he's cracked up to be.
I
he
think
made
he's
some big
injured as
mistakes
well,
last night too. He had a delay of game penalty that led to a goal when he flipped the puck over the ice or the
board.
glass, yeah, and then he deflected a puck into the own net. And that
Yeah,
was both,
we saw that one,
Yeah.
The own goal,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't actually count as an own goal,
Yeah,
but
we
it
were talking
should.
about that yesterday. They should bring that into hockey, man. Like, that was an own goal. Like, Colorado didn't score that goal. Darnell Nurse did. Like, in soccer, if the ball was going in the net and it takes a deflection, they'll sometimes still give that to the forward. Like, if I'm kicking it and you're, like, standing right in front of the net and it hit, like, it would have gone into the net, but it hits your thigh and goes into the net right over here, they usually still say that the striker scored that goal. But if I'm, like, trying to kick it across the face of the net and a defender hits it and it turns at a 90-degree angle like it did for Darnell Nurse yesterday and then goes in, like, you're the one that scored that goal.
So
Yeah.
in soccer, does the player not get credit for that goal?
No.
No.
Oh.
Like, if I'm the defender and you kick it, in the first scenario, you would more than likely get the goal. In the second scenario, if, like, Nico's on your team, you're trying to pass it across the face of the net, and I go to intercept it, and I kick it into my net, I get an own goal. You don't get the goal.
Yeah.
I'm the one who scored the goal. It was just against my team. It's called an own goal.
But it still counts as a goal, right?
It does, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's still
And at
1-0.
least you're still putting the ball in the
Yeah.
net.
Oh, yeah.
It just affects the player stats,
Yeah,
then,
don't get
right?
me wrong.
Yeah.
You take it every single time, but...
Yeah, it should be a negative stat on their part. You know what I mean?
Oh, what is that?
The bell from the cat toy.
Oh, sorry.
It's all good. You little hoodlum.
Yeah, there
He's
should
just
be
like
a
his
negative
dad. He's
stat.
a
I was
little
gonna
shit
say, takes
disturber.
after his papa.
Yeah, he's just like me. He's a little shit.
He's got a big old
He's
fucking.
cute, though.
He's got a big old fucking hair or something
very
hanging from
Yeah,
his face.
hanging from his...
Yeah.
I got you.
Got an extra goatee hair there, trying to catch up with Pops. There's another thing that I was thinking about. Last week we talked about like some of our worst drug experiences. Do any of you guys have a bad experience going to get drugs? Yeah, I got a pretty like wild one a little bit too. Either of you going to pick up drugs? You
I
ever
don't
have
think
a-
so. No, not
I
really.
mean, getting stood up by the plug and waiting 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
You know, that's happened more than once.
Lots.
But
Getting stood up by the plug.
Yeah,
that'll
I'll be there in
happen.
5 minutes.
Yeah,
You said that
exactly.
25 minutes ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
getting
Like
crack
25
timed.
minutes.
Yeah, I'm just down
Just
the
want
street.
some weed, man. Like,
Yeah, we used to wait. Me and my old buddy, my old buddy was selling weed for this guy, and he would just front the weed, and we would have to go wait at the Great Canadian Bagel just off of fucking, just off White Ave, yeah, just off White Ave,
Get
yeah,
some
man.
salmon bagels.
We
waiting.
would literally sit there for like fucking 5 hours, man. And yeah, dude. And we'd buy one bagel and we'd sit there for fucking ever waiting for this guy to show up. And he'd be like, oh yeah, man, I'm on my way. And like sometimes he would just never show up. And then we'd just fucking leave. And it's like, man, this is fucking gay. This guy sucks.
Sounds like
I don't
human.
want that shit.
Sounds like human pigeons, eh? Just splitting a bagel for 5 hours.
Zach?
I just remember one specific time, like fucking 8 years ago, when I was with a buddy that I used to hang out with, who I got my cat from actually.
Nice.
But we're no longer on speech terms. And we were trying to get some of that devil's dandruff, some of that marching powder of the Colombians, you know? And the girl kept saying, meet me here, that we meet her there, and she'd just be pulling out. So we were just kind of like following her around. And it was just kind of like we were chasing her to get it, and it made me feel super uncomfortable. And I was like, either she wants to give it to us or she doesn't.
Yeah,
Why are we
exactly.
chasing her through traffic lights? It's just like, stop and give it. Or
Yeah, man, just wait. I'll be
Yeah.
there in a fucking
and we
30
ended up
seconds.
never getting it.
Really?
And we left the party, and it was like one of those parties where everyone dresses up as a different nation. It's like a beer Olympics, but you're like representing the Greeks or like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So we left this sick party to go get some freaking shitty stuff, and it never ended up happening. So it just wasn't a very fun time. That was one of the last times that I decided I wanted to do that.
Cool.
Can I get a word?
You want to comment? Do you have a crazy drug story? One time back in my my days where I would get larger amounts than I do now, we'll just say that, I was going to meet one of those people, and I was driving on a road with our good friend Mr. Joe West, and we were driving, and then I did have to make, like, one lane ended, so I did have to make a merge. Holy, he's just a savage. I did have to make a merge, but, like, I didn't even cut anybody off. I merged all nicely and blah, blah, blah. And then eventually we have to park at a red light, pardon me, actually really close to Northgate Mall. And then all of a sudden there's a bang on my door, and I look over, and there's some guy standing there. So I roll down my window a little bit, and he's like, "You fucking cut off my wife. You almost killed her," or something. I was like, "Yo, dude, what are you talking about?" I was like, "I cut off your wife." I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then he's like, "Oh, back on this road and this road." I was like, "Dude, I didn't even drive on that road. Like, I came onto this road at this intersection." I was like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." And then my window was open a little bit because I was talking to him. Then he, like, punched me in the face. And I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I looked at him, and then I'll never forget this shit. He was like, "I'm a Marine. Get out of this car and I will fucking kill you." And I remember being like, "What the fuck?" And by the time I looked over at the passenger seat, I just saw, like, Josh's back and the door closing. I was like, okay. Josh is already out of the vehicle. He circles around the vehicle, and he starts walking up behind the guy. The guy, like, turns around and points his finger in his face. And I'm not sure, but apparently Josh was like, "Yo, get your finger out of my face, sir. Get your finger out of my face, sir." But then the guy, like, kind of stepped towards him, but since the guy was blocking our view of each other, I couldn't really see what was happening. So my go-to move pretty much all the time is just, like, the rear naked choke. So I just, like, threw my arm around his neck and was, like, gonna try and, like, choke him. But I didn't know at the same time that, like, Josh's go-to move is, like, a hip toss. So he had grabbed the guy, like, by the scruff of his jacket and, like, stepped his hip over and was trying to toss him over his hip. At the exact same time, I had my arm around his throat, and I was trying to pull him back because I thought he was, like, getting at Josh. So he was getting pulled in, like, two completely separate directions from, like, 6 inches apart. And then we just kind of like pushed him off, went like shoulder to shoulder back to the vehicle and kind of like squared up to him. And then he was like, I'm calling the fucking police, da 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 da. And then I was like, dude, like, you punched me in the face. Like, call the fucking police. I don't give a fuck. And then him and his wife, for some reason, were in 2 separate vehicles. And while all that was happening, she pulled in front of me and then backed all the way up to my vehicle. So I was literally boxed in. Like, I could not even move in more than inches. And then the cops get there, and there was someone sitting at a bus stop. So the cop asks us all of our shit. The cop asks him all of his shit. The cop's pretty much like, man, this is like his word against your word. I was like, well, what about that person sitting at the bus stop? I guess they went and talked to the person at the bus stop. The cop came back to me. I was like, dude, like I didn't even put my glasses back on. I was like, dude, I wear glasses. I'm sure they're like on the floor of my car. Let's go see if we can find them. I go and pick up my glasses, and the one arm is bent like all the way out. I was like, man, clear. Like if you get hit here, your glasses are gonna bend like that. And he was like, yeah. So then he goes back, and then the wife, him, Josh, and I are all talking with the cop. And the wife says, I don't feel safe in society with people like this behind the wheel. And I was like, I don't feel safe on the roads with people like this behind the wheel. And I was like, I don't feel safe in society with people like your husband just being a member of them. Like, your husband told me he was a Marine, and if I got out of my car, he was going to fucking kill me. Like, do you not understand the severity of what your husband said to me? And then the cop looked at him and he's like, are you a Marine? And then the guy just sat there and said nothing. I was like, ooh, are you impersonating a military officer right now? Because I'm a dickhead like that. And then the cop like looked at him and looked at me, and the guy literally didn't say a single word. And then like we were dressed like hip hop fashion or whatever, and I'll never forget this. Josh, he's like, I just want to say something. He's like, just because I'm dressed like this doesn't mean that I act that way. Like, this is the north side of Edmonton. 9 times out of 10, 2 dudes that get assaulted like this do not wait for the police to get here. And then the guy started to say something. The cop was like, whoa, stop. He's right. Like, you assaulted these 2 kids. Like, we were like 22, 23 at the time or something. Maybe, yeah, something like that. And he's like, these guys are like 10, 15 years younger than you. And they're the ones that kept this situation, like,
respectable.
What should have happened. Yeah, like 9 times out of 10 when we get here and it's 2 people like this, you're laying on the ground. Like stabbed, beat up, stomped out. Like, you have to understand that these 2 people are the ones that kept this situation like they should have. And then he looked at me and he was like, so like, what do you want to do? And then he kind of pulled me to the side and he was like, man, like, technically you could charge him with assault, but I'm going to be honest with you, like, there's no real evidence here. This is just some bullshit. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to charge him with assault, so he has to go to jail and bail out, and then I'm just going to call tomorrow with your card and drop the charges. And he's like, so you pretty much just want to send this guy to jail for like 6 hours and be an asshole? I was like, yeah, pretty much. And he was like, all right. So I was like, yeah, I'll press charges. So yeah, that happened. And then we just ended up going and picking up like a QP. But the worst thing is like, the guy that we were going to meet knew both of us. So while all this is happening, we're late to meet him. So both of our phones are just like, ba-doo, 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 ba-doo. Josh just goes in my car and just literally turns off both of our phones. Like, we don't need the phones going off the hook when blah, 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 blah. But yeah, the guy fucking said he was a Marine. He was going to kill us. And
there ain't even any Marines in Canada. We literally don't have Marine Corps, so I'm dead serious. True story.
Really?
Like, him and I have been in the same room and said that story multiple times, that if he was here, like, that's almost word for word, that's exactly how he would have described what happened.
Wild, man.
All on the road. Just like, yeah, it was crazy. And then when the cop even got there, when they were trying to be like, oh, these guys are the aggressors, da-da-da, the cop's like, which one of those vehicles is his? And they were like, the Ford Escape. He's like, which one of those vehicles is boxed in by 2 other vehicles in the middle of a road? And they were like, the Ford Escape. He's like, so who's keeping whom here? Like,
yeah.
What's going on here? And I was like, yeah, this is fucked up.
What did the people at what did the person at the bus stop say?
I didn't say anything to them. The cops just talked to them. I have no idea what they said.
So he didn't agree or disagree with what you guys...
I have a feeling like he did, because the cop was like definitely like siding with us after seeing my glasses and talking to that person. Because right before that, it was like, yo, this is complete he says, she says. Like, they're saying they didn't do anything. You guys are saying that you kind of hit him, but this is why. Because like, we were like, dude, yeah. Like, we jumped out and I was like, yeah, I was choking him. But the fucking guy punched me in the face right after and told me he was going to kill me. Like, what do you...
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? my bad. Sorry. Fuck, all but scared there for a minute. I'm 20-something. This guy's like 40. It is what it is. But yeah, nothing ended up really happening at the end. But after he talked to those people and saw my glasses, I could tell the cop, like, that's when he cut the woman off and the man and was like, no. You guys are lucky that these kids handled this like this. Yeah. So I'm thinking that guy was like, yeah, man, that guy
got out and was the aggressor.
Punched him in the face, and then these guys got out and, like, kind of, like, defended themselves but didn't pursue it. Like, when we pushed them back and went side to side, we didn't, like, make aggressions towards him. We just stood there kind of like, what the fuck is happening right now? And then, the cops were there, like, super quick. Like, minutes. Like, literally moments.
He's probably worried somebody's going to get stabbed up.
Yeah. And, and who knows what the caller told them on the phone, right? Like, they could have made it seem like it was way bigger than it already was.
Yeah. And we were literally right next to Northgate Mall, so, like, I'm sure the cops are kind of,
100%.
You know what I mean?
How much did you roll your window down for that guy to land a shot on you like that? Like,
more than I should have.
I guess so. Like, yeah.
In hindsight, a lot more than I should have. To be honest, I might have been smoking a cigarette, and it might have already just been like half. Most of the time when I get in my vehicle, even if I'm like, I don't even smoke cigarettes anymore, I still open my window at least like a little bit just for like airflow and shit. But if I was smoking, it might have even been like halfway down. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah.
I was wondering if he was a really good striker or if he just.
Well, he landed one. I didn't even see it coming because I remember I kind of looked at Josh and I looked away from him and he hit me. And then, that's when I looked back at him. Yeah, I'll never forget Josh is a real one, man. He hit me, and he didn't think, like, let's see how this pans out. As soon as that happened, he reached for the door and was already good. It happened, and by the time I was like, wait, what? And I looked over at him, the door was closing. So, like, he wasn't still getting out. The door was closing. So, yeah, that was kind of wild, but don't do drugs. Well, do drugs, kids, but don't get in road rage.
Wouldn't it be crazy if they went up to the bus stop person and then they asked him a question? The bus stop dude was like, "No habla inglés."
I didn't see anything.
That would, wow. Yeah, thank God for that person, I guess.
I'm legally blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
At that point, it would have been a he say, she say, and you both probably would have just been sent on your way.
Yeah, which is, I mean, pretty much what happened. If the charges get dropped, I'm sure you get your bail back.
Did he end up getting arrested?
Yeah. Like, they were, like, cuffing him and shit, and I was like, I just left. I got the cop's card, and I just left. We went and saw Buddy.
What is the best part of the story? It's like, we still have business to do, so if we can be on our way.
Did you go see Mo?
No.
Oh.
No.
Don't say names, man.
I hate to say this, but he's no longer with us.
Aw.
So.
Mo Sislak?
Yeah, he's no longer with us, so I ain't calling anybody out.
I'm not sure I do that.
Really?
He was no longer with us.
Yeah, he died like 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Damn.
Yeah, he kind of went off the rails. And
He was going off the rails by the time I was done talking to him.
Yeah, he was kind of went off the rails, doing a bunch of drugs at work and shit, and then I think he OD'd or some shit.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have to call Nico after I'd see this guy, and I'd be like, bro, like, this guy just came and told me, this is all years and years and years ago. I don't do any of this stuff anymore, but I was going to meet up with him to buy some weed. And he was like, yeah, I'm in the Boston Pizza. And I was like, okay. Like, I'm not necessarily trying to do this inside a Boston Pizza. I'm like, this is kind of fucking weird. And I go inside, and the guy's, like, damn near in tears and shit. And, like, there was, like, multiple times I'd go to meet up with him. And I'd have to phone Nico and be like, yo, was this guy okay? But clearly he wasn't.
I guess not, yeah. I never talked to him, really.
It wasn't him that I was going to meet up with, though, no.
Yeah, fair
Well,
enough.
rest in peace to Mo. He was a good guy to me.
Yeah, he was an alright guy. He was pretty nice until he wasn't, I guess.
Hey, man. Check in with your friends, I guess, man.
Yeah.
Check in with your friends. Yeah, anything else for us? I'm not sure exactly how long this has been, but you got a would you rather or some facts and shit for us?
I do actually have some pretty cool story that I read. It's about grizzly polar bear hybrids.
Okay.
So apparently, because of like deforestation, both populations of bears, grizzlies, and polars are getting pushed closer and closer together, and they're starting to mate with each other and creating hybrids that are just bigger, stronger, faster.
Really?
And it's basically our fault, and basically we're creating our own arch nemesis, I guess, is the point of that. Is because Polar bears are the most vicious bears from what I looked
And
up.
they're the biggest.
And they're the biggest. And then grizzly bears aren't far behind. Then you got your Kodiaks and stuff. But
Yeah.
you're basically getting the two ones at the top of the food chain getting together and then making a bigger version of themselves. It's like Jurassic Park when they made the... What's the new one? Jurassic World where the Indominus Rex or whatever? You guys see that movie? The new
I
one?
haven't seen like any of them.
Well, they
since
just
the
made
first
it
one.
better T-Rex by like genetic engineering. And this is kind of like nature genetic engineering.
Which is funny because I actually just saw a preview for the
Dominion?
new one.
It looks sick.
And like the main guy with the glasses that's been in like all of them even since back
Jeff
to the
Goldblum?
day. Yeah. He was like, why do they have to keep making them bigger? So that T-Rex
Yeah.
must have even been genetically engineered to be the fucking T-Rex Rex.
That's right. So it's just kind of like,
Does it
but
have
this
mo-
is nature's way of doing
Does it have longer arms?
Can it wipe its own ass yet?
Yeah, I mean, there used to be some massive ass bears, hundreds or thousands of years ago in that area, like around northern Canada and Alaska and stuff like that. There was some grizzlies that were like 3 times the size that they were now.
Really?
Like massive, like well over 15 feet tall, like 18-foot long fucking bears, like
Damn.
retarded.
It's like
Way back in the
fucking
day. So I'm
alligator.
guessing that's probably something like that because they weren't white, but they're like, yeah, pretty much a polar bear, but grizzly looking like.
Yeah,
Crazy.
apparently the biggest bears in the history of like a modern time came up to their polar, like a weird version of polar bears, and they were 1,760 pounds.
Damn.
1,700?
So yeah, 1,760 pounds.
So
That's more than my Civic, man. That, that weighs more than my car.
small car. You know.
But a much more agile and with not opposable thumbs, but opposable limbs, I guess.
Razor sharp limbs.
Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah, their claws would fuck you up.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, they're like fucking like that long.
Wolverine fucking things, you know.
2-inch long claws.
Jesus Christ. Could you imagine, man, just coming across that thing in the, like...
Just going camping with your family. You're like, this is a good place for a picnic. Did you bring the strawberries? And then a bear comes out, like,
No, not just that. Being the hunter in your village back in the day, going out with a couple of guys to try to kill that thing with bows and arrows.
Yeah, or a little dinky
Maybe a
fucking spear. Yeah. Little shitty
Like,
spear.
dog. That was a bad time.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm a hunter. I'm gonna gather today. I'm gonna gather today.
Go get some berries.
oh, hey, I found what you were talking about, Dan. Those bears from the past. They're called giant short-faced bears.
Yes, exactly.
And they, hold on, I'm just pulling up the facts on Bing.com.
Ask Jeeves, man.
That's right.
7 days makes 1 week, sponsored by Bing.
Bing.com. Well, apparently these things, it was about 5 feet at the shoulders when walking.
When on all fours.
Not all, yeah, on all fours, yeah. And then when it was standing up, it was as tall as 12 feet.
Okay, 12.
Damn.
A little bit
And they
shorter
were
than I
able
thought.
to run up to 40 miles an hour.
Damn.
And they weighed on... the smallest weighed 1,500 pounds.
Damn.
Which means that the
65K?
largest could be in the mid-2000s. Probably like the alphas, I guess.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and they were carnivorous, as I'm sure we could all guess. But can you imagine 40 miles an hour? It's like,
Dude, that's
go to the store to
insane,
get some
yo.
cigarettes. And
You stand no chance.
Yeah, no, man. Literally like the fastest fucking man on the planet doesn't even run that fast.
Right?
But the thing about that, those things are not like...
Fastest
Those don't extinct from like wolves or something like that. That's like humans hunted those things out of existence. Like we hunted animal species that were too dangerous for us to have around
Yeah.
and made them
Which is
non-exist.
cool to think about.
So that's ridiculous. Back
I'm
in
sure
the
they
day.
thought of some sort of like trick. Like I think
Maybe
I
they
said this
poisoned
on the
them or something
podcast
like
before,
that. But
like there's a place in southern Alberta that I went to with my mom and my brother when I was much younger. On a jaunt, my brother and I might make fun of my mom all the time. It was a little
Buffalo-
jaunt.
Buffalo
Yeah,
jump.
head
Jump,
smashed in
yeah,
buffalo
yeah.
jump.
Oh, yeah.
So like they probably tried to do something like that, you know.
But
what
like,
I
think
mean?
about it, like bears aren't hurt animals. They don't do that. Like, of course there'd be ways.
No, I don't
think
mean
about it.
that, but something
have
they had to
to-
figure something out.
Yeah, they'd have even someone has to be the bait to like run this thing to the edge of the cliff to like get it to fall off. Like, you know, like someone was having a bad day nonetheless. Like, but that's crazy because yeah, those things didn't extinct because like. Unless their food sources disappeared, but even then we would have had to hunt the entire food source out of existence. Like,
Yeah.
humans probably did something, like,
Mm-hmm.
because
But what? Like, what could those humans back there with those tools?
man,
do
well, if
against
you lead
a
them through a
fucking
valley, they
bear?
would stone them, right? Like, they could throw stones off valleys. Like if you had a cliff or something like that, and you could make them come down. You can throw rocks on them. You can have traps where they fall. You know, like big fall traps.
Fall into some spears or some shit.
Yeah, or
like
even if it
video
falls in a
games.
hole, then you can start shooting arrows at it until it's dead,
Yeah.
right? Or poke it with a spear. It's, you know, once it's trapped, it's trapped. Or maybe they had cages, but even, like, I don't know, man. There's so much crazy shit that people did back in the day that we wouldn't think of nowadays because we don't ever have that mindset.
Yeah, we don't
Our
have
mindset is
to.
let's jump in the car and go to the grocery store
Yeah.
and
Even
pay with our
then,
plastic
get a
money.
gun. Like, could you imagine taking out a bear without a gun?
Imagine taking it
You
over
would
with a
have to
spear.
prepare to get injured. Like, you'd not have a good time. Like, unless if you shot it with an arrow, it ran away, which I think wouldn't really happen with a big ass bear. Then you'd have to do some close hand-to-hand combat with that thing.
Good fucking lord.
Yeah, man. Like, think about
What is
that.
this, the Revenant?
Right.
But it's man, people do that shit all the time. Like, we
It's crazy
survived
you
like
can
that
still
for
scare
hundreds
a
of
bear.
years.
That if you like get big and get loud and shit, that sometimes they'll get scared and fuck off. Like, imagine meeting a
Well,
bear and
that's
getting
a black
scared
bear.
of a human.
That's a black bear. That's a much different. Like, you can't do that with a grizzly bear. Like, you can only do that with a fucking black bear.
Yeah, I think
With a grizzly, you gotta play dead.
yeah, you have to literally lay down on the ground and play dead. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dog.
And then it comes up and like it'll fuck with you a little bit.
This is
You
just
see
like a
that you're
cat.
dead?
If there's a cat, you know, and there's a mouse running through your fucking yard, like it'll play with it. And the moment it stops like moving, it kind of loses interest. Same shit. You are the fucking mouse, and that grizzly is the fucking cat. And
Yeah,
it'll,
man.
Could you
It'll
imagine
fuck you
trying to
up.
play dead with a fucking bear?
Yeah,
I would run. I just run.
that's how you die.
And that's,
They'll run-
and
they'll
that
run
is
a
how
lot
you die.
faster than you will.
Motherfucker run 40 miles an hour. I can barely run 20 kilometers an hour. You know what I mean? Like, that's, yeah, you're gonna get fucked up.
When we went camping that one summer and you brought Jules, I like just woke up after a night of boozing and all that, running on like no sleep. And like my first thought's like, okay, I gotta go take my morning shit. And my tent zipper was open like this far, and I'm like sitting there barely awake, like, oh fuck. All of a sudden I hear something and I look over and a fucking like this far of an animal nose sticks in the fucking, I literally like, dude, I kind of jumped and like I almost shit my pants. Like literally I was like, holy fuck. And then like the tongue came out, and then I heard like you or Franny or whatever yelled Jules, and then she fucked off, and I was like, oh my god. I forgot the dog was even on the camping trip. I was like, oh my god, that was Jules. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Or it was maybe a chupacabra.
Hey, get out of there. Hey, quit fucking around. Go lay down.
Kobe.
The chupacabra,
Little fucker.
Yeah, the El Chupacabra.
But yeah, that was one of the scariest like 2 seconds that has ever happened in my life. Like the fucking adrenaline spike that happened first thing in the morning when that nose came through. Like I literally was like, I'm gonna die in this fucking tent. And then it was Jules, and everything was okay. I went and pet her after my poop, and things were cool.
Just
She
to
was
make
like,
sure you
sorry,
guys were
buddy.
good.
I was like, yo, you scared me, Jules. And she was like, sorry, dog. Just wanted to say good morning. I was like, shit, that's cool. You got a would you rather for us?
I do actually. Would you guys rather have more time or more money?
How old am I?
This present age.
Money.
Okay, so this present age versus when you're 70 years old.
Time.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Well, it depends, man. If I'm 70 and I got no money, I don't need more time.
Okay, well, frick it. Right now, in this time or money,
Oh,
your
did you
age
just
is.
say frick it?
Yeah, I don't want to swear.
Oh, I apologize. I've been swearing like a sailor.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
bad.
That's okay. I think I swore already earlier, so. Anyways, at this present age that you guys are right now, more time or more money?
Money.
Money. But I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's still objective is like how much time is more time. If you're telling me as a 32-year-old, as I sit here, like, you could have 50 years left and die at 80, or 60 years left and die at 90, it's like, wow. I'm sure old people don't necessarily want to die when they're that old because, you know, you got family members and you want to see your grandkids and blah. I shouldn't say blah, 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 but etc. But at some age, like, I've lost all of my grandparents at this point, but I was only, like, physically there when I lost the grandma that I was, like, the closest to. But she died when I was in the 12th grade, so I was, like, 17 at the time, and her husband died a month before I was born. So, like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure my grandma still enjoyed the most of the last years of her life before she got sick, seeing her grandkids and her kids and blah, 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 blah. But, like, going 17 years without your significant other, like, she'd never even entertained anybody else. Like, that was her husband. She wrote it out solo for the rest of her days. At some point, I'm sure older people get to, like, ready to go, so to say. That being said, my dad's, like, 72, and he's, like, a really healthy 72. Fucking knock on wood. But he's, I'm sure, nowhere near ready to go. So, of course, time's, like, objective. But as a 32-year-old, if you're going to tell me I had 10 more years or more money, I'm taking the time. I'd rather live not laugh. Well, there's a comedian / like rapper and stuff named Lil Duval, and his best friend died. And Lil Duval gets talked about by Andrew Schultz and Charlemagne all the time. And he's a very, like, turn almost anything that's negative into a positive way of thinking it kind of individual. And his best friend was told, you have 6 months to live. You have cancer, you have 6 months to live. Lil Duval had already made it at this time. He's already, like, a successful person. The guy has ended up stretching the 6 months out to, I think, 2 years. But Lil Duval's like, man, that was literally a blessing. For those 2 years, I asked him what do you want to do? What do you want to do today? Like, he's like, everything that we wanted to do in life, we made sure we accomplished in that time. That being said, he couldn't have done that without the money. So, it is what it is. It's a very, like, half, like a scale, scales of justice, you know what I mean?
I'd take the money because I could do whatever I want for the rest of my days.
Like that situation.
In that situation right then and there, I could do whatever I want, whenever I want. I could go to this place, fly to this place, go fucking watch whatever soccer game, whatever kind of anything that I wanted to do in general, and enjoy the rest of my time.
Yeah, F1 here, Champions League here, fucking...
Exactly.
Fucking, I'm not even going to be here. Me and all the homies to Mexico. Like, let's go.
Party it up, and whether it's party it up or just go and have a good time and relax or whatever, and just enjoy whatever time I have left with the money that I have. Because you can have all the time in the world, but no money, then fuck, that's pretty fucking boring. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even have a vehicle right now, and my life is fucking boring as fuck. I can't go drive anywhere. I gotta rely on this guy or this guy to come and get me just to go fucking play soccer, for fuck's sakes. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, man, money would be sweet. And money, they say money, like, causes more problems, but, like, it also takes away a lot of problems. You know what I mean? So,
to quote the great rapper Royce the 5'9", money doesn't buy happiness, but I'd rather do my crying in a Corvette.
Straight up.
That's one way to
Isn't
look
that
at
what
it.
he called it? Say? You want to cry in this?
No, that's Freddie Gibbs.
Gibbs?
That's Freddie Gibbs, like, talking to a chick, talking about he's, like, cheating or whatever. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you gonna leave, or are you gonna cry in this Maybach?
Yeah.
You gonna go hang out with him happy in a Honda Civic, or are you gonna stay and cry in a Maybach?
Yeah.
Which is also...
That's super, super toxic.
Yeah. that's City Boys me up. Toxic Boys for lifestyle right there. Yeah. That's Hoodville shit right there.
What about you, Dan? What are you thinking?
I'd take the money too, because I could make the most of my lifetime, and I could set up any future generations and take care of my family that is around, So, and I mean, who knows? If you do things properly, you can become a philanthropist and, help out others, right? You can do the most with the money. And, like, I'd rather live my life to the most than live a long life to the least, so.
Exactly.
Okay.
You'd rather, I'm just quoting all these rapper lyrics now, the Jay-Z line, you'd rather die enormous than live dormant?
Yeah.
Straight up. Being broke and fucking staying at home doing fuck all, that's boring as fuck.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the Jay-Z line, something like that. I'd rather die. I think it's I'd rather die enormous than die dormant or something like that.
Is that from Reasonable Doubt?
Oh yeah, of course.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. I love me some Reasonable
Yeah,
Doubt.
me too, man.
This guy doesn't like Jay-Z. He's been listening to me talk to him about Jay-Z and Lil Wayne for fucking 20
I'm
years.
not a big Lil Wayne guy, but Jay-Z's good.
His Lil Wayne impression.
Jeez, alright.
Wheezy, baby.
Yeah, every time I put him on, he starts talking like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Wheezy.
Yeah, I do not like Lil Wayne. And him and Birdman are homosexuals with each other.
Literally
They
gay.
are, yeah. Damn right I kissed my daddy. Yes.
Gotta put some respect on his name.
Yeah, that's right.
Or his penis.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What's with
Those-
all the
Guy says
allegations?
frick a couple seconds ago. And it's on his penis.
Yeah, I gotta keep them on their toes, man.
Yeah, Birdman. Apparently he's a real G though, as Fred says.
Yeah, apparently he is a real gangster, but so gangster that he is gay, I guess, which is kind
He
of
puts
weird.
the
but-
gay in gangster.
Real quick, what do you all think about the YSL RICO charges and stuff like that?
Oh, Young Thug?
Yeah,
I'm
Young
not sure
Thug,
Nico-
Apparently he's at the
Hitler.
top of the pyramid, according to them. But
I don't know much about all that shit. Fred was telling me something about it the other day, but I don't have much knowledge about it.
Yeah, so from what I understand, apparently in Atlanta, there's like two relatively big gangs that are also rap groups, conglomerates. I'm not exactly sure we'll just say groups for the sake, companies. And one's called YSL, and that's Young Stoner Life, I've come to learn. I'm not a Young Thug fan, or Gunna, which I guess is like the main two people on their label. I don't listen to either of them. But from what I understand, the two of them started as like a gang that's called Young Stoner Life that then became a record company, which is a tale as old as time in hip hop. But I guess in Atlanta there was another rap group, which is, it's kind of confusing because their name is also a 3-letter abbreviation. I just can't remember it right now. It's like, I don't think it's like the YFN, but it's some, I don't remember, but it's some sort of, yeah, Zach, if you can look it up real quick. But anyway, apparently these people have been beefing for years, and somebody in Young Thug's camp has got caught up, and the feds have been building a RICO case against Young Stoner Life, YSL.
first YFN, you are correct.
YFN it is. So
That's
that's
it.
like Young Fly N-words, from what I understand. So I guess these guys like beef a lot, and then I think the main rapper in YFN is YFN Lucci.
That's
Yeah.
correct as well.
Yeah. So apparently Young Thug has been, it got found out somehow that he
Heard of the guy?
yeah, I've never really heard of the guy either. I've heard of Young Thug and Gunna. Everybody else besides that, I've never heard of these people. That being said, I don't really listen to that style of hip hop. But apparently Young Thug, somehow it's been found out, and like damn near enough for them to make a charge on it, that he like ordered a hit on this Lucci guy, and that like it actually was an attempted murder. Like they went through with it, but they just weren't successful. And yeah, all these gun charges and drug charges and murder charges, and the Gunna dude is who, like, to be honest, I don't know anything about him. I've heard like some features. He never came across as like a gangster to me. The Gunna guy. I don't know much about him, but
And just because your tone of voice ain't that gangster doesn't mean you don't.
yeah,
do
I
good
don't know
shit.
any of his lyrical
Yeah,
content.
Young
or
Thug was
anything.
wearing dresses and everything, and he's still at the top of this thing. But at the same time, they do have one song, him and Gunna, called "Dollars on My Head." And if you listen to the lyrics, it's like, people are out for me, like I got dollars on. It's a good song actually, but you should check it out. Anyways, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I guess that's just it. That they've got these charges against these guys, and the Gunna dude, I think, is facing like fucking like 30 years or something like that. And then if everything goes against Young Thug, he's facing like 80 years or some dumb shit life, because it's like a murder. I can't exactly
RICO
remember, but-
charges, racketeering, and everything, and that's
Yeah.
big time.
Which this is happening more and more in hip hop. As I was telling Nico the other day, there is a rapper that I know a little bit more about, and his name is Casanova, and he's from New York, and he was apparently like a very prominent member of a gang called something Gorilla Gangsters or some shit, something with the word gorilla in it. I don't really remember, but he's also in jail right now on RICO charges because of some other shit some people did in his gang. Same thing happened to Bobby Shmurda, even though he kind of snitched on himself. So it's happening more and more in hip hop. I know they attempted to hit Irv Gotti in Murder Inc. with a RICO charge, but he actually beat it. He's like one of the very, very few people that's beaten the federal government on a charge, and he beat a RICO charge against them. And so did DJ Drama. They tried to get him with charges too, and he beat them as well. Which is crazy. Apparently it's like less than 1% of their cases get beat. And these two were both just like famous dudes that had enough money to lawyer up and be like, yeah, no, this is bullshit.
Sick.
Well,
I don't know. I think Murder Inc. might have just beat some charges. DJ Drama, from what they were saying, was that he was like making money illegally off pirated music because the mixtapes that he was using. For instance, like one of his prominent mixtape Gangsta Girls series is the Dedication series with Lil Wayne. There's 6 of them to my knowledge. Every single one of those songs is him over somebody else's beat. And you're not supposed to be able to make money off that, right? Like, mixtape music like that isn't on streaming services unless you pay that person royalties and they clear your music. For instance, the shirt I'm wearing, Acid Rap, this was a mixtape, and although it was original beats, the samples weren't cleared. It was just some guy making beats for Chance the Rapper before he became famous. If you go on the streaming services and try and listen to the song, I think it's Juice. It's just a little 30-second song with Chance being like, "Hey, before this got put on streaming services, the sample didn't get cleared, but all the money that comes from streaming this little clip goes to this charity." Because the clip just didn't get cleared. And that you'll see things like that happen with Drake, like Drake's first album. Oh fuck, I can't remember what it was called. But his like first mixtape that he like blew up from, that didn't get put on streaming services till he could afford to buy all the royalties from the people. But anyway, I kind of got sidetracked on royalties there. But that's what happened to DJ Drama. But yeah. RICO charges happen. What do you guys think about that? You think that's the last we see of Young Thug?
I don't know. With our societal or cultural standards, you know, we're our own worst enemy. We write our case every single time we speak up when these things are around.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be hard to beat. It's much easier for the feds to get evidence on anybody these days. You're geo-logging your locations,
I know it's on like
timing, what you say, where you say it, what you look for, what you take pictures of. Like, they can see anything at any time, really, if they fucking wanted to. Whether it's legal or not, whether they have the warrants or not, they have access to that shit 24/7. So if you do anything with that around, you're already fucked pretty much. Especially once you get to that level. Once there's federal RICO charges against you, there's nothing stopping them from getting any of that stuff.
Every email, every text,
anything you ever seen. Look at the Amber Heard, Johnny Depp case. Look at all the texts and everything from way back in the day. Like, it's all right there. Like, it's tough these days.
My girl wasn't even on her phone. She just had her phone next to her, and she asked me about what boxers I wear, and I wear a specific brand and a specific cut. Or I try to, and literally for the next few days, she sent me screenshots of them advertising that on her device. And she's like, I've never looked up. My phone wasn't even on. It was just sitting next to me like this. And so that right there proves that,
always. And that's just what these companies use to target ads for you.
Yeah.
Let alone what the government uses to get evidence from you. Right?
They got a database of everything. It's just what reason do they have to look?
Are you a big enough fish for them to look into it?
Exactly. They're not going to look at your shit because you're just some fucking guy. But if you're all of a sudden you're talking about selling accounts or keys of coke and you're going to meet up with this guy to buy a fucking gun and shit, then they're obviously going to start looking into your shit.
Yeah, the keywords and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they get logged.
exactly.
Even just keywords and conversations. That, like, any U.S. phone call, if you say certain words, it gets flagged where somebody manually reviews that shit. Like...
Oh, Zach's been put on a list since we started this podcast, I'm sure. He's Googled some sketchy shit since we've been here.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes, But, that's the thing. Everyone's a criminal when it comes down to that, Everyone does something they shouldn't be doing around a technological device. So, like you said, if you're a big enough fish, that's when it's going to screw you.
Yeah.
And then there's always, like, quote-unquote, like, conservative or square people, even some liberal people, but the people that are like, oh, I don't have anything to hide, I don't really give a fuck.
Child porn.
It's a liberal fuck.
Yeah. They're always like, oh, I don't have anything to hide, let them look through my shit, and I'm like...
Those are the guys with the child porn, man.
You don't have anything to hide yet.
Yeah.
Wait until something that you do becomes illegal, but it's too late, you know what I mean? Like...
Yeah. 100% no. Those are the weirdest guys. Those like the squares that say they got nothing. Those are the guys you don't want to look at their shit because you're gonna find the stuff you don't want to be seeing.
Yeah, some bestiality or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Don't say my cat's name in that
in that sort of context.
Yeah, please and thank you.
Shout out Beast.
Shout out.
Our mascot. Anything else you guys like to talk about before we get the fuck up out of here?
Got nothing going on.
Rate, review, subscribe, share, comment, do all that shit that I was supposed to say in the fucking beginning again. That's been another episode of 7 Days Makes 1 Week. Cheers.